So the first pair of tools in your toolkit that I want to talk about is alliteration and assonance. They sort of go together. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds, and assonance, its partner in crime, is the repetition of vowel sounds. We'll come to assonance in a minute. Alliteration is so powerful. You hear it in advertising and in politics all the time. They know the persuasive art of alliterative language on the human ear, and it's ancient. So there's a beautiful medieval poem called Gawain and the Green Knight, written by someone anonymous, attributed to the Pearl poet. Pearl is another medieval poem, and there's a theory that perhaps it's the same author. But there's something remarkable about this poem that was written towards the end of the 14th century, that there are 3 bits of alliteration in every line. And there are thousands of lines in this poem. It's an epic narrative. Check out this. This is a translation. Soon as the siege and assault had ceased at Troy, the burg broken and burnt to brands and ashes, the traitor who trammels of treason there wrought was tried for his treachery, the foulest on earth, and so on. So this particular translator has kept the alliteration prominent in the work. It's remarkable to read it line after line. It accelerates the story, which is incredibly exciting. Really adds to the tension. Another great example of alliteration is from Walter de la Mare's The Listeners, beautiful poem. Is there anybody there, said the traveller, knocking on the moonlit door, and his horse in the silence champed the grasses of the forest's ferny floor. And I think that's what I was taught when I was a kid. That forest's ferny floor is such a beautiful example of alliteration. It slows us down, right? It's amazing. One of the biggest brands, Coca-Cola, is taking advantage of our love of alliterative sounds. Assonance means the repetition of vowel sounds, or basically rhyming. Bat, cat, mat, anything that rhymes, that's assonance at work. What I find interesting is that both of these tools relate to sounds rather than the written language. So century and circle would be alliterative, even though the letters are different, because the sounds are the same. And words like plough and brow would be assonant, even though the spellings are different, because they sound the same. Angela Carter wrote about alliteration. When she was composing The Lady of the House of Love, she described the process. Now, I thought, what kind of person might have such fingernails? Why, a vampire, famed for their long, sharp fingernails, all the better to eviscerate you with. Now, what kind of vampire would have both long, elegant fingernails and an elegant gilt birdcage? A lady vampire, perhaps. I alliterated her. A lovely lady vampire. And she must be plucking those twanging, almost musical notes out of her birdcage because, like me, she was bored. So Carter, as a prose writer, is interested in alliteration within her work. It's not just poets. What about half rhyme or para rhyme? They're really interesting because they play on our mental ear's attraction to both alliteration and assonance, but without satisfying either. Wilfred Owen's war poetry dances on this boundary between them. Here's an example from Strange Meeting. With 1,000 fears that vision's face was grained, yet no blood reached there from the upper ground, and no guns thumped or down the flues made moan. Strange friend, I said, here is no cause to mourn. None, said that other, save the undone years. The hopelessness, whatever hope is yours, was my life also. I went hunting wild, after the wildest beauty in the world, which lies not calm in eyes nor braided hair, but mocks the steady running of the hour, and if it grieves, grieves richlier than here. The consonants and the vowels are repeating in a kind of rotation, and it makes you feel half sick. It's brilliant.